The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is an anime produced by Kyoto Animation and directed by Tatsuya Ishihara, who is also responsible for these fun things you might know about. The series debuted in April of 2006 in non-linear order, the superior way to experience the series, or so I'm told because I watched the whole goddamn thing chronologically, and dubbed. Reflecting back on the series, it's hard for me to articulate why I liked it so much, especially since I no longer feel the same way for the anime I remember I used to. What I do remember is that after finishing The Melancholy, I was left with an empty feeling encompassed by a desire for more, to plug the void that was created by the end's wake, and sadness that I couldn't fill it. And this is not a common thing. There are only 3 other animes that I felt the same way after watching them. One is about an alchemist, and the other 2 involve cross-dressers. It's also easy to remember the problems with the series. The chief 2 that stick out in my mind were Haruhi's treatment of Mikuru, which more than irked me, and whatever the fuck was up with the creators trolling Groundhog's Day fuck you to the fans by wasting half of season 2. It wouldn't even have been so bad if there was actually a point to it besides Haruhi wanting to procrastinate and Kyon being thicker than Space Dandy. While this is plenty of reason to despise the series, God knows I've hated stuff for less, opinions on this anime generally fall into 2 categories. Those who love it, and those who think it's overrated. Within a subcategory of the first, there are a few that debate the deeper themes of the series. These have revolved around anything from Haruhi's decision to trade a new world for Kyon's kiss, to whether or not Kyon himself is a god. However, I have no desire to wade into these debates about the greater meaning of the show. To put it simply, I feel like the overanalysis of the series is exactly that, a bit overdone, and gives far too much credit to the series' creators. That being said, if you yourself found greater meaning in the show, good for you. People connect differently with different things, and I should hardly stop you. For me though, I can summarize why I liked The Melancholy in a few words. 2 good songs, a dance, and this episode. And also, the characters. As I pointed out in my review of Toradora, I found that my ability to connect with a series hinges primarily on whether I like the characters. This is especially true with the slice of life genre, and although The Melancholy or Disappearance doesn't fall into this category neatly, and has been advertised as other than that, I think, more often than not, that the series tends to attract the slice of life aficionados. Part of the reason I say this is because a common complaint from some critics on the series is that nothing happens. While the series seems interesting, it's not explored in depth, and before the movie, the whole series amounted to 5 likable characters faffing about in high school doing slice-of-life fuck-all, or saving the world by doing slice-of-life fuck-all. And if you were someone who was waiting and or wishing that the series would take off somewhere, you may have been understandably disappointed.
Ball! Damn you! Be serious about this! If you lose, you're buying everyone lunch after the game!
I know that. After all, the fate of the entire world is resting on my pitching. I guess the world's not worth very much.
However, I for one was satisfied with this. For me, the most enjoyable parts of the series were just the random shenanigans the characters would get into, and not the more supernatural elements. So let's talk about the characters. This is Haruhi, she's a bitch. This bland curry with a healthy portion of sarcasm is Kyon. He's just a normal high schooler, unlike Asahina, a time-traveling moe blob, and a mysterious transfer student who couldn't give less of a shit if the world was ending.
I need to talk to you about something. This is the end of the world. Frankly speaking, this is what I'd call an emergency situation.
And then of course there's Yuki Nagato, aka the best girl and my favorite Ayanami clone.
Take it. I changed the elemental boost information.
Elemental what?
Homing mode.
She and Johnny Young Bosch were the 2 most interesting characters. Despite appearing rather 2-dimensional, I wouldn't call them flat. While neither of them express a particularly wide range of emotions, it wasn't hard to be intrigued by them. To me, both their characters embody the coy aura of mystery that lingers in the overall background of the series. And while it never feels comfortable enough to reveal itself, I was satisfied with that mysterious setting hanging in the backdrop, against these likable characters doing relatively normal slice-of-life stuff. The setting exists for the characters and not the other way around, and I feel like this is where most of the appeal lies in Melancholy. If all the supernatural elements were taken out and the show was simply about 5 normal students at North High and Haruhi was just the talented, egotistical eccentric that she thinks she is, I would still enjoy it. In short, if you liked the characters, you probably enjoyed the show. However, if you wanted to see a more epic story use the themes of time travel, alternate universes, and the Sixth Sense more to their potential, you probably finished the series dissatisfied, if you finished at all. The movie is a different matter. The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, which was released in 2010, continues where the series left off chronologically, and follows Kyon to an alternate timeline where the characters do exist in a normal slice-of-life setting. Disappearance is excellent for 2 reasons. First, without significantly changing their personality, all the characters, especially Kyon and Nagato, experienced tremendous growth or exploration. And second, it was actually about something. As much as I enjoyed watching these 5 dicking around in high school, what ultimately separates the Melancholy from the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya is the latter's achievement of a substantial character arc, and in the case of Kyon's is one that holds considerable relevance to the series. It's about the question of choosing between an interesting life and a stable one, between fun and risk, and mellow and reliable. Given the choice, I'm not sure I would have made the same as Kyon, but his decision tells something very important about his character, that he values his time with Haruhi and the others a lot more than he ever let on, even in his own head, and furthermore, he values his experiences more than he fears oblivion, and that makes me happy for him. He deserves this world, no matter how unstable it is or how short it will last. To summarize, the anime taken as a whole is a fairly enjoyable one. Perhaps one could briefly encapsulate it as a jack of all trades, but a slice of life at heart, with interesting characters, an intriguing setting, and more than a few sweet and subtle moments.